to BO Journey Academy Live. My name is Anthony,
I'm Gabby.
and we're voice actors with caffeine.
Always with caffeine.
Always with caffeine. All right, you guys, it's good to see you. Happy Tuesday?
Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday. I don't know
Tuesday.
about you, but does it? It just seems like sometimes the days last forever. They seem like they go on
For
forever, and
sure.
sometimes they go really fast.
Yeah, for sure.
So like I'm always surprised. I'm like, what day is it? I mean, I'm kind of in that place right now in my career. I'm like, what day is it exactly? I don't even know. I like live by my calendar. Like my
Well,
calendar tells me everything that I do now.
and that's it. And sometimes because so many of us work on weekends,
Mm,
it all bleeds, right? It's just Groundhog's Day. Every day just kind of repeats. So, it's fine.
that is the
Yeah.
truth. All right, hello everybody. Welcome. If you're just joining us, if you're brand new, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video because
The
it will
bell.
be fantastic. Also hit that
The little bell.
bell notification. Exactly. Also, put a comment in the chat. Tell us where you're from.
Ask us
Tell
questions.
us, and if you have any questions. We're going to be talking again. We're picking back up on AI today because we said this is the week of AI. So we're going to be chatting about this. Jeremy, what's up from Austin, Texas?
Ah,
So leave us a chat and also feel free to ask any questions. All right, so we were talking about AI. That we had a
mhm.
really good conversation yesterday.
Yeah.
So today I think we had talked about, what did we talk about talking about today in
Well, I
AI?
mean, yesterday we were talking about the origins of
Mm-hmm.
AI, and I think today it's important to talk about what's going on with the training of AI and a lot of these job opportunities that we're seeing as a result of it. And
That's
man,
right.
it's
That's right.
it's crazy. It doesn't matter where you go, right? Indeed, LinkedIn, any job board, Backstage, Casting Call, the pay to plays, right? Voice 123, voices.com,
Mm,
they're all promoting jobs from companies that are effectively training AI tools. And what they're doing is they're looking for voice actors and they're looking for beginner voice actors because they know what they're targeting here. And they're asking for the same thing repeatedly. It's data set training. And the language is always the same. Oh, we're not going to use your voice. We're not going to steal your voice. We're just looking for you to read words and phrases to help train AI for the future. And we're paying about $100 a page to do it. And it's shocking the
mm-hmm.
number of inexperienced, fledgling, and just completely uneducated voice actors or
Mm-hmm.
wannabe voice actors that are doing this.
Yes. Yes.
It's crap. Um,
Yes.
yeah, it's
Yes.
so
Yeah.
bad. And
Yeah.
even the companies who have promised the voiceover industry, oh, we're not going to do it. We're not going to participate in AI. They're doing it. They're doing it. They're totally doing it. And they're all going, well,
Exactly.
it's only training. It's not really a voiceover job.
Well, and remember, just the fact of the matter is, every single terms and conditions always has a
Mhm.
clause that says we reserve the right to change this whenever we darn well please.
Pretty much.
So, I mean, that's just, and I always tell people too, listen, you have to understand that every business, their main focus is themselves,
Yeah,
right?
always.
They do what they feel is the best in their, for them. And if they, I've always thought though, and it always seems so counterintuitive, like, you know, a bunch of people, including these websites, shooting themselves in the foot for the future for a minuscule amount of pennies now.
Yeah.
Because so a lot of the issues now, you think about it, none of this voice AI would be there if voice actors hadn't sold this.
Mm.
They're hadn't done these things. I'm not blaming, I'm not saying it is, but
No.
I'm just saying that that's why it's so important to not sell your voice
Yeah.
to
I
these
mean,
machine learning. And what we were talking about yesterday, I think the difference, right,
we don't, yeah.
is there's a difference here. And I think this guy is saying, right, these are the jobs, these are the things where people are actively trying to get your voice and train an algorithm, a voice learning model or whatever
Mhm.
that takes your voice, and then they now own that right to use the sound of your voice and your mannerisms and everything as
Well,
they
they're
see fit.
also taking it, I mean, again, as we were talking about yesterday, that blender model, right?
Hmm.
You're putting a bunch of things together. So if they're taking two or three voices and sort of smooshing them together to create a different voice, effectively, yes, they're using your voice. But because
Mm.
it's impossible to sort of dissect it from its
Hmm.
other parts, and yeah, they're making a new voice from your voice.
And
And
I would like to say, is that I think there's a difference here, and I think people, some, at least in my opinion, and maybe we could talk about. I think this is a good conversation. The difference too, as we're doing this, is when we what is the difference between when someone, you go and you sell, you get hired by one of these machine learning companies
mhm,
to do these pages and everything, and then or what's the difference when they come to you and you're like, no, I'm never going to do that because I don't believe in that,
right.
and then we use ChatGPT,
Mm,
and then we
yeah,
use other models. There, to me, there is a difference.
there is.
All right, and I think that's what because we joked and we talked about this kind of on Friday and also yesterday too about we had posted a little video of some that was just fun and it was
Mhm,
cute. You know what I mean? And I think the difference is I believe, and I believe personally, there is a wonderful place for AI. Do you
mhm,
know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that I myself am choosing to sell my voice
right,
for those purposes.
right.
That doesn't mean I don't think it can be a great tool,
Mhm,
for how I want to use it. But
yeah,
so I don't know. I think that's a caveat because I think that gets confused and a lot of people get angry at each other and they start fighting. We
mhm,
had that
yeah,
the other day. There's some people had some really strong opinions in the chat, and that's cool. But you know what I mean?
yeah. Well, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly, right, of
Mhm.
anything. Today, yeah, we're mostly talking about the bad. We're talking
Right,
about the uses of of AI in voiceover that are going to be detrimental to the industry, right?
right,
Feeding the beast that is ultimately trying to take over work
right.
or become something that could replace us. That's not cool.
Hmm.
The same way, photographers and graphic artists and right, they're not going to spoon feed their work to AI so that it
Hmm.
can do the same thing, right? So, let's talk about the positive uses, I guess. So, from a where is AI going to be an incredibly valuable tool for humanity for business? Computations and calculations, anything that has to do with math and statistics and right, like all that stuff, amazing. um when you're looking for data, that's where AI can be huge. When you're looking for help with something that you've already created, right, whatever your art form is, and I'm including the written text in this, you know
Hmm.
if you've already written it and you're kind of like, hey, make this better, improve the grammar, right? Clean this up a little bit. Hey, help me make this more interesting. That's, I think, acceptable, right?
Hmm.
All of those things are fine because you're not taking a job away from someone else. That's really what it comes down to, is are you doing something with AI that takes away a human being's ability to make a living?
No, and I agree with that. I think another discussion is because I just think it's a good one to have. Is it can be very challenging as well to like, so for example, if, and again, this is just what it is, but if you are a person who is trying to start a business,
Mm-hmm.
you have minus $30 in your bank account.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying what the appeal of this is to people, and you want to create some things and you have some ideas, there's no way you're going to be able to afford a $10,000
Right.
service. Now, would that be wonderful? And it should, yes, absolutely. But So then do we tell that person who has no money but they want to start something, you don't get to start it
Right.
because you don't have the ability. What happens because of that? What happens is something like this.
Mm.
Someone turns around and says, "Well, I'm going to create something
Yeah.
that changes that."
Yeah.
And it is like I took it back to the horse industry. I mean, can you imagine when the automobile came in one fell swoop? I mean, really, literally, you're talking about an industry for centuries, right? That was a massive industry. The horses
Mhm.
were the
Yeah.
primary form of transportation,
Mhm.
and then they're just gone. I mean,
Mhm.
like the industry just completely was gone.
Mhm.
And there's still, I mean, there's still horses around. I mean, I can tell you what, they still cost a heck of a lot of money
Well,
because they have horses.
but the
But
thing
you
is,
understand what I'm saying?
it's
Like
evolution.
it's a hard battle.
It's evolution. I've
It
talked
is.
about this with the
It is.
printing industry for a long time. I mean, remember before the printing press, there were scribes. There were
Mm.
people who hand transcribed
Right. It was
books.
a very unique, and you trained to be that. You were very, it was a very
Incredibly. It was
special.
a lot of times it was monks. It was a
Yes. Yeah.
very like it was not to be too right. I mean, this is historically.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a calling from God. It was like a
Yes. It was. Yeah.
really big deal to do this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden we have the printing press, right? And that replaces them. And then for years and years and years, and this goes up into but gosh, as early as like the 1980s, the 1990s, you still had printing presses for
Yeah.
various applications.
Right.
My dad was a press operator in New York. That's what he did. He
Mm.
worked for a company that made lithos of all kinds. Like
Oh,
when we were
cool.
kids, it was really cool. He actually printed album covers. And so, yeah, like my sister and I had all these cool album covers from different artists over the years. But anyway, it all got replaced, right? That turned digital. This is progress.
Mm-hmm.
It's what happens. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. And yes, there's always a certain percentage of any workforce that's going to suffer as a
Right.
result, but it's also saying how do we evolve with it? Now,
Yes.
with that in mind, we have a question. So Aaron just posted this. This is fascinating. He said it also doesn't help that certain big time voiceovers out there who will remain unnamed are saying that they are selling their voice for the future and claim they get a monthly check for life. So, you know, I there's a part of me that wants to call bullshit on that. There's a part of me that wants to say
Like
maybe
you mean like bullshit that from the voice actors that are saying it, or that's maybe more of a rumor than necessarily the truth of it.
exactly. Anybody in today's day and age with AI being what it is and with AI being such a hot button topic who's willing to go, I just sold my voice to AI to secure my future, that person's going to come up under major fire throughout the industry. And so I
Hmm.
find it very bizarre that anybody would do that publicly. If they were taking that move, I feel like they would be doing it privately.
I think maybe just my assumption is
Mhm.
maybe he's talking about some of the more actors
Maybe.
who the actors who for example, like the whole James Earl Jones thing,
Right, 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 right.
and some of the actors who have, and they just happened also they're using him as
Right.
voiceovers.
But here's the other thing that I believe on that's interesting. The people that are like, I'm gonna get a monthly check for life, maybe.
Mhm.
To be determined, my
Mhm.
friend.
Well, and also, I think this is, and I don't presume to know a
Mm,
much of anything when it comes to the recent negotiations and everything that went down with
sure.
SAG-AFTRA, but there was that battle that happened, and
Absolutely.
I think some of the things I'd seen, and I did attend some of the the Zooms and things that a lot of them were putting on, and everything was talking about,
Yeah.
and one thing that came out, and you noticed it, is that Un and this goes to class and
Mm-hmm.
money.
Mm-hmm.
The people who have the ability and the fame
Mm-hmm.
to negotiate and to do things, you know what I mean, and be paid and
Mm-hmm.
come up with this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times they can make out. but a lot of but the rest of us don't have that, and that's why in the end I think for me this always goes to one conclusion personally, and the conclusion is right you're we would be a fool to think that we can that progress is just going to be stopped.
Yeah.
All right,
I
but
I would be
I can control what I do
right,
with my voice.
right.
That's
And
basically what I can do.
I would be curious, Aaron, to say, can you expand on it, right? Are these celebrity voice actors you're talking about? Are these high profile voice actors? Are these regular everyday, like who are these people? Give us a little more insight into that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, look, if Nancy Cartwright came out, and I'm not saying she has, I'm not saying this, but if, right, hypothetically, if she came out and she was like, yeah, I sold my voice rights to Fox to pretty much own in perpetuity. So now Disney, right? To
Mm-hmm.
be able to continue to create Bart Simpson forever.
Mm.
That would not surprise me in the least
Mm-hmm.
because she already doesn't own Bart.
Right.
Bart is not her intellectual property. So
Right.
if she created or allowed them to create an AI off of Bart, I would totally understand that, and yes, collect that check well into your, into legacy for your
Mm-hmm.
family. Sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I
Yeah. Yeah.
don't see her going, here, take me, take Nancy Cartwright. Unlikely.
Well, and then you run it to me. You run into the hard thing there with those things are so famous. You have impersonators. You know, I always thought too,
Mhm.
where's the line of people who were impersonators,
Well,
right? Because I swear I hear a commercial every day that with the voice that sounds like
Morgan.
Morgan.
Morgan Freeman. Absolutely.
And I know it's not
Absolutely.
Morgan
No,
doing all those
absolutely.
commercials.
There's
And I know
so
it's not
many.
AI. So there's impersonators doing it.
Well, but keep in mind in casting, right? That's extremely popular to say we want somebody who sounds kind of like or similar to Morgan Freeman, but is
Hmm.
less money. So, I mean,
Right.
but here's what's interesting. Go back to things like classic Warner Brothers, right? The Mel Blanc days. Mel Blanc was, right? He's an icon. I mean, Mel Blanc did all these classic
Oh yeah.
cartoon voices that we loved. Imagine if AI had technology had existed
Hmm.
when Mel was alive. We could have preserved the original,
Hmm.
right? Bugs Bunny. We could have preserved the original Porky Pig, the original Sylvester. I mean, there's so many cool things, but we'd never have a Bob Bergen, right? We'd never have all of the voice actors that eventually became the new voices after Mel Blanc passed.
Absolutely. By the way,
So,
everybody, don't forget to post questions in the chat if you have them. I know we kind of get to this point. I forget to mention it again. Post questions in the chat. Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I think that that's So I think going back to the first part of our discussion
Mhm.
was, the companies who are going around and trying to offer, you know, uh, a couple of bucks for a page of you to read, and that's everywhere.
Yes.
And I think to me, just in the sheer, and I know how we feel, to me, that's just the most offensive thing. I have to tell you, this happened to us. So, we run Academy Voices as well. It's our
Mhm.
casting site, and, which is a part of VO Journey Academy.
Mhm.
And I've been contacted about 5 different times from companies
Yeah.
who wanted to pay us an obscene amount of money to get access to all of our voices.
Ugh.
I mean, isn't that insane?
It is. It's
Like
gross.
it's insane to me. So, I mean, like it's not like there are people who, and those are to me, those are kind of, well, I mean, they are who they are. I mean, I was gonna say predatory, but I think the
Mm.
reality is they probably don't view it that way.
No.
And sadly, because they don't care because they're not voice actors and they're not part of the
Exactly.
industry. Do you know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Mhm.
So of course, I mean, I try my best to send a polite email and not like say mean things in the email. But I'm like, no, thank you. We don't do that. Have a good day.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's happening a lot, and probably these bigger sites, what's
It is.
happening to them is they cave because there's money there, and they said everything to appease the industry, and then they turn
Right.
around and be like, well, there people are offering me, because there's a lot of money. So let's not
Mhm.
mistake, there is a ton of money,
There is.
a ton of money everywhere, and then the government just entered into that huge thing they're building out in Texas.
Mhm.
Whatever that thing is called. They're investing billions, hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars into this
Yeah.
AI. So, it's not something that's just gonna go away if,
No.
we.
But on this small scale, I think what we
Hmm.
have to look at is if you're listening to this and you're a fledgling voice actor, a new voice actor, right? If you've been
Yes.
at this for a couple of years or less and you come across one of these ads, make
Yes.
no mistake about it, that is not a voiceover job.
Right.
That is not, you're never going to get a credit for that. It's not going to be something you can put on your resume. It's not impressive to anybody. It is not, it literally is not a voiceover. It is
Yes.
instead a potential downfall for beginners later in our industry. That's the problem. The experienced voice actors, the people who've been doing this for a long time, we're fine.
Hmm.
It's what is going to happen to the entry level opportunities in the future if AI becomes that prevalent.
Hmm.
That's the scary thing. You know,
Yeah. No.
let's not take that away.
I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that, because it is enticing to accept any sort of money when you're first starting,
Exactly.
because it's just like, I mean, you're really happy about it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but it's kind of like that whole thing, here's a carrot next to the cliff. So you're really hungry,
Exactly.
and you don't see it. But
Mhm.
I do want to say, as we're coming down where time is kind of up for today, I do think, and we're also just piggyback on what Gabby said there too, though, for new voice actors, there is a lot of fear,
Mhm.
and we could probably expand more about it tomorrow, and that fear. But the fear from new voice actors, I'm coming into the industry now, and I hear there is a lot of people out there too that, and all, and I understand everybody's okay to say whatever they want, but there is a lot of people out there who are saying this is the end of everything. The AI is gonna knock down my door and drag me away and stuff, and like you know what I mean. Like voiceovers over forever, and
Right, right.
that's simply not true.
No, it's not.
Simply not true. And every one of those instances we talk about, and there's a difference too. I think, and I gotta make this real quick. The difference, what we do too, all right, than other things as well, is that we license our work. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot. So,
Mhm.
you could go on and say, okay, online and find, like, I hate to say this, but photography.
Mhm.
There's so many places online where photography is free
Yep.
for anyone to use as they see fit, to change it, to use. It's free. It's put up there for free, right? It's given away for free. We don't do that.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Now, I'm not, and all photographers. I'm not saying all photographers do that either. I'm
No,
just
many of
saying
them don't.
that
Yeah,
there are places, like, so. You have to understand, that to me, that's a big difference
it is.
as well. And I always say, to me personally, if you're not selling your voice, you always have a unique voice. So there's always going to be a place for you,
Yeah.
because because the world is vast and unique, and there's
Mhm.
always going to be. It's funny to me, companies don't want just cookie cutter stuff all the. I mean,
No,
that's not what we do.
not at all.
We want uniqueness.
Yeah.
So there'll always be a place for us. Well, you guys, thank you so much. I think this is a great. Oh wait, did we have? Oh, we did have a question, Gabby. Do we
Oh.
want to try to get him? I know it's not related to AI, but I just recently got laid off from my day job doing plumbing for over a decade. What can I do to stay aware about AI scams and such? Can I just point out you got laid off from plumbing?
Hmm. Yeah. How does
Hmm.
that happen?
Yeah, that's a. Okay,
Um,
so the question was, what can I? Sorry, that was a. I'm sorry, man. First, I'm sorry that happened. But what can I do to stay aware about AI scams and such?
hmm.
That's a really good question, because we see it, on a lot of the free platforms that you can
Yeah.
join. You really have to, now more than ever, that is true, you have to have your antennas up, because people will go, and they will try to scam you. However, like Gary said, however, I do feel like bad people are going to do bad things,
Yeah.
whether or not you want them to.
I
So we don't know. Like if someone's asking you for audition, if
yeah.
you're going to be scared all the time to do it, you're never going to get work. That's the hard part, right?
I'm gonna it is, and I wrote that question down because I think scams are just as much a topic
Mm.
as AI, and I
Oh,
think
good
that we
point.
can
Yes.
explore that in more detail, if not later this week, then next week.
Mm. Mm.
Because over the years, my goodness, I have seen
Oh my goodness.
so many voiceover scams.
So many.
And I think that it would be good for us to talk about, some of the common ones and what they look like and how to avoid them.
Great idea.
Yeah.
I like that. All right, you guys. Well, listen. Um, have a great day. Javier, we'll pick up this question again
Yeah,
tomorrow as well because
for
we're a
sure.
bit over. So thank you guys so much for watching. You have a wonderful Tuesday. See
Bye.
you mañana. Goodbye.